We're a year removed from the 2023 NFL draft class, and already some of these guys are looking like bona fide superstars, while others are struggling to get out the gates. So I want to go back, see what I said then, and see how I'm feeling about it now. I love draft grades. Yes, I do. I went back, I watched my draft grades video right after last year's draft, and I got some takes on it. We're gonna go ahead, discuss it today, see how my feelings have changed. So let's go ahead, get this sucker started, because we're covering 32 teams. Let's do it. We got the Arizona Cardinals. I gave them a banger, which is my highest. It's essentially an elite grade, right? And the Cardinals, looking at it now, like Paris Johnson, like he had an all right season, but I want nothing to really knock your pants off. BJ Ojolari had some high points, but he was seldomly used. Garrett Williams was coming back from injury, and when he hit the field, he had some big moments. Michael Wilson, honestly, was probably the best performer in this draft class. Dante Stills ends up looking like a steal. Keitrell Clark, probably more of a slot guy this year, but like now looking back at it, because like obviously I loved this class at the time. I gave it a banger grade. Didn't really even discuss the whole Cardinals moving down, then to move back up and to get Paris Johnson. But I don't know if there's a superstar among these guys, which is kind of what when I throw that banger tag out, it's usually because I think they got a superstar here. I don't see that guy yet. Paris Johnson can develop in that guy, but I'm going to just go ahead, give it an above average, essentially B. Real quick to go over my grades. Basically an A is banger. You got B being above average. You got average being C, D below average, and then F is just straight up flop. And we got a couple of them. So let's keep moving. Atlanta Falcons. They drafted Bijan. I didn't praise the move, but I was like, I get it. It's Arthur Smith. He's going to utilize Bijan. And then he didn't utilize Bijan. What the heck, bro? Matthew Bergeron ends up looking like a really good move. It looks like he's going to be a solid guard for them. Outside of that, like I guess DeMarco Helms looks like he could vie for being like the safety 3 in that lineup there. Like there were a lot of points in the year where he looked better than Richie Grant. Zach Harrison really didn't do much. Clark Phillips actually got utilized quite a bit down the stretch, but like all in all, you drafted a running back at 8 and then didn't, in my opinion, properly utilize him. I'm not going to give it a flop because I think Bergeron, I think Robinson, those are going to be very good starters. I think Robinson could likely be a stud. I got hopes for Phillips. I got like Helms, honestly, surprised me a little bit this year. I thought he wasn't much more than a special team player, but I'm going to give it a below average. Real quick, let's talk about today's sponsor, Aura. Y'all already know data brokers are out there selling your information to scammers, spammers, and everyone in between. They're selling your name, your email address, your home address, your health records, and even the information of your loved ones. I was shocked to see how many data brokers had my information. Y'all remember that meme? They're coming for everybody. So hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husband. Well, Aura does just that. They have features such as antivirus, VPN, password management, which was huge for me, parental controls, which I love as a parent, identity theft insurance, and so much more. And they do it all from one app. It's really cheap as well for all that they provide, but you could try it for free for 14 days if you use the link in the description. So check it out. Not only is it a great way to support the channel, but it also supports you, the viewer. Baltimore Ravens. At the time, I gave it a B, so essentially a above average. And to be fair, a lot of these guys didn't really get to see the field a ton. Like Andrew Voorhees, we knew he wasn't going to see the field because he had the late, was it ACL injury? I can't remember, during drills. You got MAL, I'm not going to butcher his name, but he was supposed to be the start-in left guard early, but he got hurt, which led to John Simpson having an okay year. Didn't see much of Kai Blue Kelly, honestly, or Tavius Robinson. Trent Simpson saw a little time, but again, playing linebacker behind Patrick Queen and Quan Smith, of course, you're not going to see a ton of time. And really, it's just the only known we have is Zay Flowers. He looks great. He looks good. Tigers got a whole domestic assault allegedly looming over his head. So we'll see about that. So as of right now, I'm just going to say this is an average draft. We still got to see what we got in like Trent Simpson, Tavius Robinson. Typically those first 4 rounds is where you want to get some starters, some contributors. And honestly, it just looks like they really have flowers as of right now. So I don't know, man. We shall see. Buffalo Bills, at the time, I gave it a banger grade. Yeah, I'm a Dolphins fan, yet here I am giving out a banger grade to a division rival because I try to be as unbiased as I can. But they got Dalton Kincaid, and honestly, at the time, I didn't love it, but it grew on me. I didn't like it when I did my draft grades for day 1, and then by day 2, I was feeling a little bit better about it, assuming how they were going to utilize him, which they did. Utilize him a lot in the slot, but then you had Dawson Knox get hurt, and Kincaid still played well. Cyrus Torrence looks like they got a really solid start on the offensive line there. And then Dorian Williams didn't look great out the gates, unfortunately. Justin Shorter, I don't even think played this year. Alex Austin ended up playing for the Patriots later in the year. So initially I was going to give this an above average because they at least got 2 surefire starters. You know what? I'm going to stick with above average. They got 2 surefire starters there. We'll see what happens with Dorian Williams. I still believe in them. But we know they're not getting really anything from their day 3 guys. Let's move on to the Carolina Panthers. Oh, man, this is going to hurt to talk about. All right, so at the time, I gave it an above average. I liked that they were aggressive and went up to get Bryce Young. They got Jonathan Mingo. I think that was a little higher than where I had him. But I was like, it is what it is. I absolutely hated the DJ Johnson move. They traded up to get him, and I thought he was like a mid to late day 3 player. I loved the Chandler Zavala move. Unfortunately, didn't play that well because he was asked to start exceptionally early. By exceptionally early, straight from the get-go. And then I think it was a neck injury. I can't remember what shut him down for the rest of the season. Jamie Robinson didn't play a ton. He actually played more than DJ Johnson. And then Mingo and Young, dude, it was just no chemistry. It was kind of a disaster. Now, I'm still holding out hope on Bryce Young, but I ain't too sold on the rest of this draft. I'm going to go ahead and give it a flop for now because things could go better for Bryce Young. I still believe in Bryce Young. But right now, looking back at this draft, this looks like a disaster. It really does, unfortunately. Chicago Bears. The time I gave the Bears a banger grade. And I have a feeling I might stick by that. I didn't love them moving down, getting Darnell Wright. They moved down 1 pick, decided not to get Jalen Carter. But Darnell Wright really grew as the season went on. Gravon Dexter, Tyreek Stevenson, those 2 guys were very good down the stretch. Don't recall much of Zach Pickens. Roshan Johnson was solid. At times looked like their best back. To be fair, Khalil Herbert was hurt at parts during this year. Tyler Scott had a couple of drops. Terrell Smith played a lot, played well. And I mean, that's about it from their draft class. But man, they got 1, 2, 3 guaranteed starters here. Maybe a future starter in Roshan Johnson. And then Terrell Smith looking like really good depth. Yeah, no, this indeed was a banger class. Good on y'all. Good on y'all. Cincinnati Bengals. So they went on. I gave this an above average. I liked Miles Murphy, but I knew he was going to be kind of a slow burn, someone that they were going to develop in year 1. You got DJ Turner, which I thought he was a little undersized. Well, he is a little undersized, so I was thinking he might end up being more of a slot guy, but he played outside. There were ups and downs. I didn't love the Jordan Battle pick at the time because they just signed Nick Scott, but I mean, it's a deal that they could get out of relatively easy, which they probably are because Battle ended up being the starter near the end of the season and looked really good. Charlie Jones and Chase Brown, they were solid in parts. Shoot, even Andre Yoshivas. But I mean, dude, what do you have in Miles Murphy there? Hopefully something good, dude. I was a fan of Miles Murphy coming out. DJ Turner, I really feel like they probably should kick him inside of the slot. But to be fair, he held his own well enough for me to be like, yeah, you know what? You can play him on the outside. Thought it was good. Like, I'm not feeling great about this class, but it's not doom and gloom. Like, there's possibilities. So I'm going to go ahead and say it was average. Going to the Cleveland Browns, I gave this a banger. Because I was like, this team had no first, no second round pick. And I thought they had great selections from like DeJuan Jones, exceptional value, to Luke Whippler, exceptional value. Unfortunately, Whippler didn't play this year. DeJuan Jones did and looked very good. Cedric Tillman had moments, but like dude played actually a lot of snaps, but just didn't do a lot. DTR, maybe you got a backup quarterback of the future there. Definitely not a starter. Like, I mean, now I'm looking back at this, and I was going to give it an average. I mean, because they honestly did do the best that they could with what they had, but, like, even then, like, I'm a little underwhelmed. We didn't see much of Siaki Ika. I'm gonna go with below average. I think they might have one starter here. Hoping to see more from Tillman this year. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. The Dallas Cowboys. Oh. When you hear that sound, it's never a good sign. At the time, I gave this an average grade, essentially a C. I was like, this was a very mid-draft. Things didn't start out well when DeMarvion overshone towards ACL prior to the season. And to be fair, like the most we saw from guys were like Deuce Vaughn. We saw itty bitty, which is kind of funny because he's small. Luke Schoonmaker, honor. I mean, Jake Ferguson's the guy. And then Mazi Smith didn't honestly look that great. You go back and look at this class, and you feel like you kind of blew it. I'm going to give this a flop. I feel like this class, the Cowboys kind of blew it. Denver Broncos. This was another team that did not have a first round pick. I gave it an average grade at the time. And to be fair, a lot of these guys didn't see a ton of playing time. JL Skinner was coming back from was it a pec injury? I think it was a torn pec. Riley Moss, we didn't see much of. Drew Sanders, we didn't see much of. Marvin Mims, we should have saw a lot more than what Sean Payton did with him. He had, I think, a kick return for a touchdown. Didn't really deploy him as he should have offensively. So I'm going to go a below average just because like, I feel like the jury's still out on a lot of this class. Like maybe we see more Riley Moss. Maybe like Drew Sanders, I expect to see a lot more because they have Josie Jewell's a free agent this year. And I believe in Marvin Mims. I thought we saw a lot of good from Marvin Mims. Okay, this was one of my hottest takes. Believe it or not my hottest take either. The Detroit Lions, I gave it an average grade at the time, as many other people did, because everyone and their mom hated how they navigated the first round. And guess what? I still do. Like, okay, hum and hob, however you may feel about Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, yeah, Gibbs is a good player. I want to take him at 12, but he would have been available later in the draft. But do I want to take him at 12? Like, I get it. Like, Gibbs was a big part, especially during the second half of the season when David Montgomery got beat up. Do I want to take him at 12? We're not even going to talk about Jack Campbell, who just didn't look great. But to be fair, linebackers typically take a little time before they get real good in the NFL. It's typically why people are not really taking linebackers in the first round anymore, because they take time to develop. But their second round was so stinking good. Like Sam Laporta, probably the best tight end in this class. Brian Branch, absolute game changer, monster. Their second round is so good. And Gibbs is a really good player. Like, that was the thing, man. I came out of this like saying, listen, they got good players, but you look in the first round, they didn't really address a position of value with running back, which might be one of the most undervalued positions on a roster. And then linebacker essentially being the running back for defense. And knowing how slow of a burn they are, like, that's kind of where I'm at, man. I don't know how to really feel because I love their second round might be it is the best second round in this whole draft. Hendon Hooker, we won't know till later down the road. Didn't see a lot of Broderick Martin. Sorsdale did get to start some games this year, but he looked like a rookie while doing so. Like, I feel like I can't give this a Banger grade. It's like, what? We hit on 3 of our 4 day 1 and our first and second round picks. Like, we hit on essentially 3 out of 4 of our top 50 picks. Yeah. And if I'm going to be honest, Sam Laporta might be the most valuable. Man, dude, it's so hard. So hard. So I'm going to let y'all kind of talk about that in the comments. I kind of want to give this an above average because I still really disapprove. Brad Holmes don't need my approval. But I don't like what they did in the first round. They got really good players. I think I'm going to go with a banger. I mean, the quality of the players they were getting wasn't the question. It was the value. So, man, they're just such a tough one to really fit my head around. The Green Bay, I'm going to be honest. We look at this class and be like, you tell me that any of these guys really changed the game in terms of big reason why Detroit was in the playoffs. Someone's going to say Gibbs, and I'm going to be like, David Montgomery was just as productive. Someone's going to be like, oh, Sam Laporta. It's like, you could make a case there, man. He was really, really good, but I mean, I didn't feel like the passing game really was lackluster going into this draft. Brian Branch, I mean, you can maybe talk me into. Green Bay Packers. I had them at above average. Didn't realize how good, like, that day 2 would be. Like, Luke Musgrave came out, looked really good, got hurt. Then Tucker Kraft came out and looked really good. Jaden Reed looked good at parts. We go deeper into, like, Dontavian Wicks. When Christian Watson got hurt, Wicks really stepped up and honestly looked better at parts. Carl Brooks carved a nice role in the rotation there. Carrington Valentine was able to get some playing time and looked solid. Anders Carlson was probably one of the worst kickers in the league, but he's a rookie. But Lucas Van Ness had some flashes, but for the most part, he was a rotation. He was a guy that everyone knew was going to need another year. Like, this was a great class. This is a banger class. I don't even have to think about it. I don't. Houston Texans. This was my other hot take, and I was shocked. When I went back, I was shocked at what I said. Because what I said and the grade I gave it, to me, did not match up. Because I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know. I look at this draft class and I think they got 2 franchise players out of it. They got them at 2 and 3. So you better get franchise players out of that. And then I was like, okay, maybe they got 2.5 because I really like Tank Dell as well. But then I gave it a below average and I was like, how did I talk myself into that crap? Like, oh, that's a little unusual. But, like, I mean, this is me. I guess I was not anticipating CJ Stroud to be nearly as good as he was his rookie year, which most rookie quarterbacks just aren't. Drew Scruggs was kind of whatever. Dylan Horton, unfortunately, retired early. Jared Patterson ended up being, like, kind of the early season GOAT, coming in, stepping in there for center and playing well. But like, yeah, no, this is a banger class. Like, I'm surprised that I was that low on it. Like looking at it now, it's like, man, yeah, I'm surprised I didn't at least give this an average to above average. Like, but like, you kind of have to give it at least above average if you got two top 3 picks and you use it on edge, which you can argue is one or first or second when it comes to the most valuable position on the defense, and the quarterback being the most valuable position on the roster. Like, that's good value. So yeah, no, if anything, I was more shocked at like when I was talking about it, it just, for me, the grade didn't match up. I was like, I can't believe, like, how can I, because I literally used the words. I look at this class and I think they just got 2 franchise players. How's it below average? I don't know, man. Broshmo got some takes back in the day that I look at now and I'm like, what are you even talking about, bro? All right, Indianapolis Colts. Fortunately, we only saw a little bit of Anthony Richardson this year, but it was a bit promising, and hopefully he can stay healthy. Juju Brett's looked pretty solid. Josh Downs definitely looked good. Looks like he's going to be their kind of premier slot guy. Blake Freeland kind of forced into playing this year because of injury, and honestly, I thought looked as good as he can for a rookie out there, just kind of trying to get by. Darius Rush didn't even make the roster. I'm trying to look at some of these other guys I remember. I know Jalen Jones actually played a good amount of reps, outplayed his draft value by a ton. Like, all in all, like, they got their franchise quarterback. What we saw from it was very encouraging. I imagine with the bigger sample size this year, yeah, we're going to look back and be like, yeah, this was a banger draft class for the Colts. So that was my grade for it at the time, and I'm going to stick with it. Moving on, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I did not like this draft class. I had it as a below average draft class. I loved the Anton Harrison pick, and then outside of that, there wasn't a lot I really liked about it. The Brendan Strange pick, to me, was very strange. Didn't even see him much this year. I don't know if that was injury or not, but Tank Bigsby had a rough go at it to start, which led to him losing a lot of playing time. Ventrell Miller, unfortunately, got hurt to begin the year. Antonio Johnson started playing a little bit in the slot at the end of the year. And ironically, Parker Washington started playing a little bit in the slot at the end of the year as well on the offense. I outside of that, no one really sticks out outside of Harrison. And it's not like Harrison had a great year. It was like, yeah, you're a rookie trying to get by. You go do you, baby boo. I don't think it's a flop because I think that they still got a lot of players that we'll see how they do in year 2. But like, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great draft. It just wasn't. I'm gonna say below average. Kansas City Chiefs. Felix Anudike-Uzomah didn't play much this year. Mike Dana out there playing for a big contract. But I gave this class an average at the time. That's C grade. I think the picks I really liked were Rasheed White. Yeah, I think it was Rasheed White. I know I definitely liked Wanya Morris. And yeah, Wanya Morris went out. Looked like a rookie. But he was 3rd round pick. Thrown into the starting lineup. I think he will get better as he goes. Chamari Connor was, dude, he did a lot of work. I thought he was just really going to be a special team guy, but when he had to come and step up on the defense, a few times he had to, he's actually looked very good. But I still feel like this is just an average draft class at best. They might have 2 starters. We'll see if Morris will be anything more than depth. We'll see if Connor will be anything more than depth. I'm just going to say it's average for right now. I mean, at least edge, wide receiver positions of value, you know. Las Vegas Raiders. I did not love this class. I gave it a average. I gave it a C. Tyree Smith, rough go at it this year, but he did kind of heat up a little bit down the stretch. Michael Mayer just didn't see a lot of volume. Don't recall much of Byron Young. Trey Tucker had some moments. Essentially, I mean, almost usurped Hunter Renfrow in snaps this year. Ja'Cory Bennett had to start early, got hurt, but like it wasn't anything special. Aiden O'Connell kind of coming out and looking decent, and there's going to be a case for him to be the starter next year. I feel like this is Minshew Mania too. But outside of that, I mean, they really get much of anything in this class, and nothing that tells me they got a superstar or even like a above average starter. So I'm gonna go with below average. I don't love the class as it stands right now. Los Angeles Chargers. This one hurts my soul. It hurts my heart. I thought it was a banger draft class at the time. And coming away from it, that's Tuli Tuipulotu. He looks like the real thing. Henley didn't really see the field much. Assume they're just kind of developing him. Darius Davis. I thought he was going to be a good return man. I thought that's why they drafted him. He ends up being a really good return man. But Quentin Johnston, dude. I don't think it's all lost. I don't think it's doom and gloom. I think he can bounce back after a bad rookie year. But usually a receiver is a position that you're going to know if you got a good player instantly from. Quentin Johnston, we don't have that feeling. It ain't feeling good right now. So I'm going to hold out hope. Scott Matlock also saw a few snaps this year, but nothing special. I'm going to hold out hope. I'm going to say this is below average, though we know Tuli Tuipulotu is going to be a really good starter. We'll see about Henley if he gets more playing time next year. Hopefully Johnston steps it up, because I really liked him coming out. Last year, I said the Rams had a banger class, didn't even have a first-round pick. Hell yeah, they had a banger class. They hit on their first 3 picks. Easy breezy. Steve Avila was very solid for him at guard. Byron Young, very good at the edge. And then Kobe Turner was a monster. He was almost a defensive rookie of the year. Sentiment, it doesn't really matter. Don't recall too much in the Campton, but we saw bits and pieces of Davis Allen, and honestly, kind of solid. But I mean, you look at this 5th round pick, it is Puka Nacua. And I was like, I wonder what I said about Puka Nacua, because I kind of like, when I talk about all these teams and my draft grades, like I talk a lot. And I had to separate it in an AFC and an NFC video. So I was like, I wonder if how much I go into when it comes to Puka Nacua. And I was like, Puka Nacua, man, didn't test out that fast, but golly, he looks so smooth on tape. Looked smooth on tape this year too, man. He ends up being probably the biggest steal in the draft. We got Hodges Tomlinson, saw a little bit of time, but playing there on the outside did kind of get bodied at times. Zach Evans, man, we thought he was gonna, after Kyren Williams went down, we thought it was gonna be his time to shine, and they brought in 2 other backs to basically just serve as, hey, can you hold us down for 4 weeks? Cool. So, man, Evans getting the shaft, but nah, this is a banger class. This was so good. Good job by the Rams, man. Phenomenal, man. I can't wait to see what they do with the 1st round pick this year. It's literally my words in the video. I can't wait to see what they do with the 1st round pick next year. Oh, man, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. So, we didn't have a lot of picks, obviously. I'm just going to go ahead, throw this out there, flop, and I'm going to talk about it. I hated the Ryan Haynes pick. I hated it at the time. Fun fact. Haha. Yeah. I don't know what happened with Elijah Higgins. I mean, he ended up being on the Cardinals, but like, did we trade that pick like during the draft? I don't know what was up with that. See, I've seen him on a bunch of like, oh, he was a part of the Cardinals draft class, and I was like, I remember us drafting him. Cam Smith, didn't see much of him with Jalen Ramsey being hurt prior to the season. Thought maybe Cam Smith might get some playing time early on. No, it ended up being Eli frickin' Apple. Devon Achane. I said this at the time, and to me, he was, when it came to, I don't want to say he was my least favorite pick. He was the pick that I didn't want the most because we needed so much else in terms of offensive line, and I wanted it at that pick. Like, Achane, I get it. Achane is sex appeal when it comes to Mike McDaniel's offense. But I said it in the video. I was like, we've seen McDaniels do wonders with guys like, I don't know, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. So that, like, that was a big part. Like, there was no doubt in me that A-Chain was going to be good in this offense. It was just like, why? We had so much else we needed. So, like, yeah, really, the best thing about this class is the running back that you can make a case we did not need. So, that's my take. Minnesota Vikings. They had Jordan Addison. Yeah, he had a phenomenal year. Looked really good. Mekhi Blackman actually looked pretty solid in parts. Didn't see a lot of Jay Ward. Jaquelin Roy was like off and on. Dwayne McBride didn't even make the stinking roster. But he was on the practice squad. Jaron Hall had a concussion or two this year. But like ultimately you look at it, it's like, yeah, they got a really good wide receiver and maybe they have potential starting corner, but again, we don't know. So like really they're walking out of this draft class with just one starter. So I'm going to give it below average. At the time I give it a below average. I'm going to stick with it. New England Patriots. I gave it an above average grade at the time. I loved parts of this draft. Like, I liked the Christian Gonzalez pick a ton. And guess what? He looked really good early on before getting hurt. Keon White, I got it. I was like, yeah, he could be a fine player, but is he going to be anything special you want to use a top 50 pick on? And early indicators are, yeah, I don't think he's going to be anything special. Marte Mapu didn't really play till later in the year because he was another guy that tore his pec during the process. And I thought he looked fine. I thought he was all right. Didn't see a lot. I actually didn't see almost any of Jack Andrews. This is where the draft for me I didn't like. Like, I didn't like the Jake Andrews. Taking a kicker at 4, let alone trading up for a kicker in the 4th, was stupid. And I loved the City South pick, though. Guess what? He ended up probably being their best player that they got on day 3. Which is kind of saying something because Demario Douglas is sitting down here who played really well for them. Kayshon Boutte. Looks like he's about to be at least out of the Patriots. Not a lot going on there. But Antonio Mafi, he didn't play that well. It was really City South that stepped up and looked really good. I'm going to stick with an above average. They might have a superstar in Christian Gonzalez, but I don't think anyone else is really going to emerge from this class as like knock your socks off, you know? New Orleans Saints, at the time I gave it an above average, and to be fair, a lot of these guys didn't really even see a lot of playing time. Brian Brazee looks like their best pick. He was very solid. I mean, that's not fair. Jordan Howden actually saw a ton of playing time. Had to step up and look good because I think Marcus May got suspended or something, right? So he looked really good. So I was really happy about that. But Foskey was just kind of a non-factor in the rotation. Kendra Miller started the year hurt. Didn't really get a big chunk in this rotation. Didn't see Salivari much at all. Jake Hayner's on steroids. A.T. Perry, though, he had a touchdown late in the year. And now that Michael Thomas is going to be gone, oh, man, something to watch out for. But as of right now, I'm just going to say it was an average draft. I don't think it's anything to write home about yet. They might have 2 very solid starters in Jordan Howden and Brian Brazee, but I don't think they got a superstar in this draft. The New York Giants. I gave this a banger grade at the time. I liked the Banks pick. I liked the John Michael Schmitz pick. And for me, Jalen Hyatt was the right value in the 3rd round. Now, Banks had his ups, had his downs. Often being tasked, though, to go against the opposing number 1 receiver. For a rookie corner, I thought he looked solid. John Michael Schmitz, I thought he was going to be plug and play and instantly be really good. Unfortunately, when the parts around you are really bad, yeah, you're going to struggle a little bit. Jalen Hyatt, just didn't see a ton of them this year. I mean, the guy we probably saw the most from in the day 3 guys is Trey Hawkins, who started the year as a starter, who was eventually benched. So, like, yeah, I'm going to still, I still like the first 3 picks, and I think they're going to really work out. I'm going to go above average. We'll see if any of them, though, are, legit studs. We'll see. All right, New York Jets. At the time, I gave the Jets a C, an average grade. I didn't love their draft. I didn't hate their draft. I knew that they were in a tough predicament at 15. I think was it Broderick Jones that they really wanted and they got snagged in front of them? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. Can't recall. But they had to kind of like settle on Will McDonald, who, hey, he didn't see a lot of playing time this year because they're kind of stacked at edge. Joe Tippmann played a little bit of guard, a little bit of center. There were some ups, there were some downs. It kind of is what it is. Those were their first, that was essentially their day 1, day 2 picks. We get to day 3, and it's literally nothing to note for the Jets. Carter Warren saw a lot of playing time, didn't look really that good. Israel Abanikanda didn't see playing time till late in the season. So he's kind of a question mark. And then outside of that, we saw really nothing from the remainder of the guys. So I gave it an average at the time. I'm going to go with below average, though I do think we'll find out more about Will McDonald this year because I don't imagine they bring back Bryce Huff. And then Joe Tippmann, hopefully they can build that offensive line a little bit better, or at least for Aaron Rodgers. Pray for him. All right, Philadelphia Eagles. I gave it a banger grade at the time, man. Just wild. How can the Eagles get away with somehow getting Jalen Carter, probably was the best defensive player in the draft class? And then Nolan Smith falls to him at 30. We knew we weren't going to see a ton of them this year because essentially Hassan Reddick was playing his role. But we were feeling great about their first round. They get Tyler Steen in the third. Steen didn't see a ton of time, but they're probably preparing him to be a starter at guard at some point in the future. Sidney Brown, we saw a little bit because of injury, and then unfortunately he got hurt. Keely Ringo actually looked really good when on the field. So maybe that's something we're going to see a bit more of now that James Bradbury and Darius Slay, their better years might be behind them. But regardless, I don't feel like this is a banger class yet. I mean, I'm not out on it. Don't get me wrong. I think Nolan Smith is going to be really, really good. It's just we don't really know what we got in Smith. We don't really know what we got in Steen. Sidney Brown, he wasn't exactly anything special when on the field. So I'm going to go with above average, though I feel like this is actually a banger. I'm split between the two. Pittsburgh Steelers, at the time I gave it a banger grade. I give it an A+++++. And I ain't gonna lie, not much is gonna change. Broderick Jones looked honestly really solid for a rookie. Joey Porter Jr. looked like a massive steal there at the beginning of the second round where Steelers moved up to get him. Keanu Benton was phenomenal. And Darnell Washington ended up having the most snaps of any of the tight ends for the Steelers. To be fair, Pat Freiermuth was hurt. But Washington, as a run blocking tight end, yeah, he's kind of it. Nick Herbig even looked good at parts. Corey Trice, I'm pretty sure, missed the whole season because of a ACL injury. But all in all, this looks like it's going to be a really good class that they're going to have at least 3 starters with 2 very good, very big contributors. And Joey Porter and Keanu Benton, I think are well on to superstardom. The San Francisco 49ers. This was by far my most hated draft class last draft season. I gave it an F. I thought it was a flop. Whenever you're taking a kicker in the 3rd round, you're pissing me off. Their best pick was Jair Brown, and I'm going to be straight up. Probably was their best pick. Brown actually came up big for them late in the season. Moody was solid, but I ain't spending a 3rd rounder on that. Cameron Latu unfortunately missed the season. I forgot what he injured, but he missed the year. So actually it was Braden Willis who was kind of in that tight end 2, tight end 3 rotation, I suppose. And then Daryl Luter, who actually I really liked, had essentially the muffed punt bounced off his foot when he wasn't even returning it. Ronnie Bell was actually a good special teamer, but yeah, no, this class, I'm sorry, it's still bad. It's still bad. They might have a starter. I mean, kicker, I guess, is a starting position, but not going to trade like one, unfortunately. All right, Seattle Seahawks. I loved their draft class. I gave it a banger at the time. Not much is going to change. Devin Witherspoon was phenomenal. You could make a good argument that he was in the running for Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jackson Smith and Jigba really got going there during the second half of the season. Didn't see much of Derek Hall. Zach Charbonnet, though, did a good job splitting time with Kenneth Walker. Anthony Bradford kind of was thrown to the wolves, so to speak. Had to play a little bit. Looked like a good run blocker. Really has to work on his pass protection. Saw a little bit of Olusegun Oluwatimi. Maybe he's the center of the future. Maybe not. Jarek Reed was one of the best special teamers in football. Don't at me. Fortunately, he got hurt late in the year. And then Kenny McIntosh, I thought he was all right. Like, at the end of the day, this is a phenomenal class. This is a great class. Good by the Seahawks. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At the time, I thought it was an average class. I ain't gonna lie, not much has changed. Kalijah Kancey, very good pass rusher. Really struggled as a run defender. But that's not a surprise. Bit undersized. Cody Mock. We expected him to struggle. A lot of people didn't really think he was a guy that you could plug and play, start immediately. That seemed to be the case. I expect him to be better next year. Yeah, Yaya Diaby was actually pretty solid down the stretch in that rotation there at edge. Servasi Dennis didn't really see the field a ton, I think. I can't really recall seeing much of him. But Trey Palmer, man. Let's talk about Trey Palmer, who legitimately was the slot in this wide receiver core. Saw a ton of snaps, got quite a few targets, but like for a 6th rounder, man, I thought he was pretty darn solid. Like moving forward, man, I think he's going to be really good for the Buccaneers. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's still an average class. Nothing to really write home about. Tennessee Titans, ignore the 5th round picks because they are incorrect. No Henry To'oTo'o, no Jordan Howden for the Tennessee Titans, but their first 3 picks, mamma mia. I gave it A grade at the end after the draft last year. I like the Peter Skoronski pick. He's playing left guard, but I thought he was solid this year. Will Levis, he showed some moments this year. As a Dolphins fan, he unfortunately showed some moments. And then Tajay Spears outsnapped Derrick Henry. Was that a good thing? I thought he was solid, but regardless what he gives them in the passing game, like top notch. Don't really have much to say about like Duncan. He wasn't really that good, but he wasn't a guy that needed to start much or start early. Dow, I don't really recall him at all. At the end of the day, man, this has the possibilities to be a banger class, but I'm going to go with above average. Let's wait and see. Finally, we got the Washington Commanders. I gave it a B at the time, and oh, buddy. Let's just talk it out real quick. I said this was an above average draft class. I really liked the Stromberg pick. I really liked the Martin pick. I liked the Henry pick. I liked a lot of picks with this class. I thought Forbes may have been a little high, a little rich, but I really liked Forbes as a prospect. Unfortunately, Forbes kind of got roughed up this year. Size kind of mattered. He got roughed up. Jartavius Martin didn't see the field enough. That was kind of silly. Ricky Stromberg didn't see the field a lot, but I think he had a season-ending injury in November. Braden Daniels, he got hurt prior to the season. So those are 2 guys on the offensive line who you have no idea what you have in. To be fair, Ricky Stromberg, he didn't get hurt. He didn't get thrown on IR until November. And him not being able to like even make even push to get a starter or something on the interior may be a little bit concerning. KJ Henry legit did nothing. This and now you got a new regime, a new coach. This feels like this class could just be like yeah, now screw this. New head coach. This ain't my class. I think there are going to be very few guys saved from this class. Like, Martin might be the guy. Forbes will get an opportunity, but we'll see about Stromberg. We'll see about Daniels. But this class is looking like a bit of a flop. But let me know what you think in the comments section below, because I love having that nice, beautiful football discourse, because that's what we do on this channel. By the way, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy, Broshmo. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing, and as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.